Okay, so it's gonna be part like kind of like webinar, but we're gonna do some work together. Okay, so let's go into master the clarity call to close more sales. So today we're focusing, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the sales process and the sales funnel. We're gonna go very deep into master for you to master the clarity call. And then I'm gonna give you after today's call, I'm gonna put the recording in the blueprint courses. And I'm going to give you a list of clarity call questions that you can use for your calls, okay? So by the end of this webinar, you're going to understand your role in the sales process. We've talked about the sales funnel and the sales process. I'm going to have kind of like a practice exercise for us. You're going to learn how to validate leads before you get on a call with them. And I've talked to you a little bit about those, like what are some of the questions, like what's the budget? Who needs to be in the call? I'm going to show you my 3-step clarity call process to close more sales. And then I'm going to give you an update.
Sorry, Paulette, I need to interrupt for a second. So when Elena heard you talking about the call, you know what she's singing? Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
Yes.
That's my background here. I'm trying to concentrate. Sorry, go ahead.
No. She's part of this. Mira que Sofia me dijo that she needs to do one of the superpoder course. But she's like, I need to find mine. So, and then you're gonna update your clarity call questions for your next sales call. So what is a clarity call? Some people call it clarity call, discovery call. Some people say like, get a free, complimentary call with me, get a free consultation. Doesn't matter how you call it. I call it a clarity call because it gives signaling to the person that I'm going to speak about, like, this is what we're going to do. I used to say, get a free consultation. People were expecting free coaching. So I like to stay within like clarity call or discovery call, because that is clear messaging for the client before you hop on a call with them. And I don't know what it says here, psychological safety. This is from an old presentation, but a clarity call is a conversation that you have with a potential client. So remember, people are leads, then they're prospects, right? So they're leads when they take some action. And the moment that they click, like, let's talk, let's do a clarity call, let's book, they become prospects, right? They prospect people to work with you. So these prospects in the clarity call, what you do is really understand what their needs are, and then you get clear if you are the right fit. So that is really the purpose. Like, learn more about my services. Let me learn more about you to see if we should be working together. And if you are not sure where we are on the Unstoppable Blueprint or the Unstoppable Latina Framework, we are inside Amplify Your Voice, because sales and closing clients is about amplifying your voice. When people really understand what you do, when people align with your superpoderes, when people align what you want to do, amplifying your voice is not about just, hey, this is who I am, this is my message. It's about attracting the right clients, aligned collaborators, and partners. So the purpose of the clarity call serves 3 main purposes. And I'm going to walk you through all 3. And if you have questions, me paran y me dejan saber. So the purpose of the clarity call is, number 1, to see if we are the right fit. Like, you need to be able to answer if we are the right fit. Then you need to understand what is the real problem. Like, what is it? What's holding you back? Or what is the challenge? Or what is the roadblock? And then the third piece, how we can work together. So I want you to have like the if, problem, and how, if, what, how. before you go into a clarity call, like put it in a post-it. And while you get comfortable with clarity calls, like put it in a post-it en tu computadora, en tu laptop. So let's say you are like, Dulce, está buscando la nena to school, and you still have to hop on a clarity call and you don't have your template with you. You can still remember like if, what, and how. Okay, so that way, you know, I encourage you to have a guideline, but at least if you know those three things, like if we are the right fit, what is the real problem, and how we can work together. Si tenemos que coger una llamada, if someone calls us and it's like, hey, it's Google, I want to pay you $10,000. At least you know that you need to answer these three questions. So which one represents your ideal client before the clarity call? A or B?
A.
A. Okay. So this is a very big misconception in sales. It is a very big misconception when we create our client avatar or our ideal, kind of like our client profile. We tend to think that our client is like, oh, my client's name is Maria, and Maria is a successful entrepreneur, or Maria is a successful career person, and they're so happy. Unicorns, glitter. What really helps you prepare for the clarity call is to visualize your client, how they are immediately before they hop on this Zoom call, before they get on the call. Like for Dulce, your client is probably like, I'm so stressed out. No dejan de molestar. They probably just sent a text message to a family member like, I said no. And they're like, you know what? I saw Dulce. I need to speak with a therapist. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't tell my mother not to call me during work hours anymore. Oriana, for you in my vida, your client is like, oh my God, I can't, like scrolling through LinkedIn. It was like, if one more person tells me to open a high yield savings account, but I should open a 401k, like, or a Roth IRA. If one person tells me that, I'm going to freak out. I'm not talking about they're just calling about trauma, is that they are calling you because they're experiencing something, they have this challenge, but also they have life, they have work, they have family, they're doing 100 things. So when you think about the clarity call, these are some examples of what your client is doing before they hop on this call. Se están jalando los pelos, they're multitasking, están con los chicos with the baby crying, working remotely, trying to order pizza because they can't cook, working from the coffee shop. They are not just like chill, ready to talk about sales. And send me that proposal and I'm going to open it right now. That's not where they are. So one of the assignments that I've given you in past coaching sessions is like, find an image of your ideal client or where they are before you talk to them. If you haven't done that exercise, please make sure that you do it today. And remember, you are responsible for leading the sale, not your client. Your client is there to either get some help to remove an obstacle or because they have a problem and they need help solving it. They're not responsible for the sale. It's you. They're like, oh, que me diga yo. If they're going to you, you are the expert. So they're not responsible for leading the sale. You're gonna get upset. Oh, no miro lo que le envié. They didn't open the email. They didn't follow up. There's a difference between folks not owning their part, which is why what we're going to talk about during, like, if we're the right fit, but it's your responsibility to make it easy for them to say yes. So how to know if we are the right fit? Well, the first piece is that if. So you want to know if they're your ideal client. You want to have an idea of their budget. Or you want to give them some information about like starting at, working with me could start at this pricing so that they can either gauge if they're the right fit, or you can ask them about the budget. So an ejemplo, Joanna that does diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting. If they put on their Calendly form, like we need a full-time consultant, she's gonna need to know a little bit about the budget. Dulce, you and I talked this week about speaking engagements. You want to know if they have a budget. If, is there someone else that should be part of the conversation? So when we talk about the if, are they our ideal client? Like, are we validating that they're the ideal client? And we validate that with our content. Oriana, you just redid your website and you were very clear, like, yo quiero imágenes of mothers, not just with young children, but with teenagers. Like, those visuals are ways for you to validate your client. What you ask them validates the information that you give them, validates that client. You want to know if they have the capacity to do the work. Like Dulce, if you are doing a therapy session, like, do they have time to follow up once a month? If you are doing a speaking engagement, or Oriana, you've done that financial scope of trainings, right? Like, do they have the capacity to like host 5 trainings? So you want to understand if they have the capacity to work with you.
Una pregunta. When it comes to the budget, so having your prices, or like you said, starting at your website, does that qualify for, or do you have to like flat out ask them if that, I guess I'm trying to figure that out.
So it depends on the type of business. So an ejemplo, if you do, I would say for your business, you might want to have a starting ask on your website, but it can also be on the follow-up email. So they schedule time with you, and then we're going to talk about these processes. I think it was Joanna that asked about the sales process in the society, and I was like, this is how it looks for mine. So it can be that they schedule time to work with you, and you can have an automated email of like, hey, these are some of the programs that I have. These are the starting prices. If you have one in mind that you want to discuss during the clarity call, let me know. But you will have, but it might be that, an ejemplo, Dulce is doing a speaking gig for a large group. She might want to ask them, like, do you have a budget? Or what is your budget?
Oriana, something that I did, and I went back and forth with this, right? But I think it's been helpful, even though I've had less, I call it free consultation, but I love the idea of clarity call or like discovery call or something like that. So because so many people that, were not aware of my rate right now, and I know, Paulette, that you told us to like put what questions we ask. I can do it later on the chat, but my last question is, are you aware that I do not take insurance and that my fee per session is $240? So I know it's like super blunt and direct, and I like really like for a while was so resistant to doing it. But I think that has helped me because I know that when people say yes, then, you know, it's like filtering out all these other calls that I was having. So I don't know if that kind of like answers your question, but that has helped me, even though I've had less consultations.
Yeah, I mean, I have my price for my entry offer or whatever, like I have that on my website, but I have also heard from other like coaches, you know, business people that like you shouldn't, maybe this is more for like your premium offer, I don't know, but you shouldn't give your price until you have shared like the value with your client or like the transformation. So they like usually they say like don't put your like price on there because you haven't like proved to the client like the value or something. So I didn't know.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, Paulette, let me just
No,
like
go,
comment
go.
really quickly. I tried that and I was like, yes, you know, like, and like, it seemed like a great fit. And then I was like, so you know, like, you're aware that I don't take insurance, right? And I charge like $240 per session. They were like, yeah, I loved you until you said that. So for me, that strategy didn't work.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that. What do you think about that, Paulette?
So it really depends on the business or your approach. I follow anti-racist business development frameworks, and people should have the information. I also follow value-based messaging and value-based pricing.
Mhm.
So for me, it's to find kind of like the middle ground of what works, because I believe that people need information to make, it saves me time. If
Yeah.
someone says if I put like, working with me starts at $287 a month, or like it starts at $287 a month, if someone sees, I had a clarity call with someone that got very insulted about that pricing. Very insulted. Like they had the clarity call because they wanted to tell me that they were insulted.
I love it.
Yes. So I think, Oriana, for you, like for someone that does large consulting projects that are personalized and customized to the client needs, you can write, you know, our work together needs to start with at least a retainer, or at least 10 hours a month, or working, you know, my programs start at X amount. So it's very helpful. If you are not ready to have your pricing, you can ask them, what is your budget? But you need to validate your client. The money conversation needs to start from the beginning, because if not, you're going to get a lot of people that want you to work for free.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do for myself when I'm looking to purchase anything or work with people, I like when they give me the price up front. Yeah, because then if I know that like, oh no, that's not in my budget, then I'm not going to bother.
Mhm.
You know, so I appreciate that. So that's why I have my book, because I have everybody start with that offer, and they can only move on after they do the offer. So I have that price on there so that they know how much it is. So if they feel like, you know, they're offended by the price, then don't bother like contacting me, I guess.
It also, I would say for one-on-one clients like that, you should share your flagship offer like at the price where it starts. Porque let's think about your client. Like, let's say they're like, yeah, I want you to do this with me, but I wanted to do for my whole family with my husband. So like the flagship offer might be the same, but not the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do business to business work, then you want to have an idea. And if you don't feel comfortable asking them for the budget before, you want to make sure that you cover that in the discovery call. You want to have an idea of their capacity and their commitment to the work. Like knowing that they have a budget for this tells you what their commitment to the work is. What their commitment is, like what's their stake in the game. It shows their capacity to do the work too. So when you're talking about the if, you want to understand if they are the decision maker. You know, they might have called you to work with you, but they might not be the decision maker. So one of the things that you're going to ask in the whether you have an application or your scheduling link, or when you start the discovery call or the clarity call is there anyone else that should be part of this conversation? I want to know if they're the decision makers. You know, you want to know if they're the right fit because it tells you if they're going to value your work. Some people just like to shop around. They just like to shop around. They just like to talk, you know, como en la boda que se quieren, you know, they want to try 100 dresses just for the fun of it. You're going to have people that are just there to shop around. And that is fine, but they're not paying. You know, we need to know in the if, and you might have scheduled 45 minutes for this call, 30 minutes, but if in the first 10 minutes, you know, they're not the right fit, cut it. Yep. I gotta say, like, it sounds to me like you are looking for something else. So I want to make sure that I provide you the best transformation, and the way that I can do it is referring you to someone else.
Okay. Right now, my free consultations are 15 minutes long, and that's after a lot of work because, like you said, people wanted free therapy, right? So when I did it for like 30, 45 minutes, it ended up being like almost a full therapy session. So, but that was after a lot of like, you know, work.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes longer, but I know that I can, like in 15 minutes, I know that we can, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it really, so, Oriana, you were talking about like frameworks that are value-based messaging frameworks. Actually, in value-based pricing, the if is just a 15-minute call.
Yeah.
So you do a 15-minute call for the if. You're like, we just have 15 minutes. You know, I need to wrap up the call when we're done. I have a couple of questions for you. It's usually 4 to 5 questions. And then you invite them for a discovery call. So it really depends on your sales process. But if that's something that you feel comfortable with, that was the framework that I use for my one-on-one coaching. I had an application, then a 15-minute call, then I would invite them to a 45-minute call. But I needed to have my contract and my pricing ready because my goal was I wasn't going to give another call to them.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that. I used to do 15 minutes, and then because I was considering, and I didn't do it, but I was considering selling people right into a 6-month program, I changed it to 45 minutes. But then I'm still just selling the mini version or whatever. But what I'm finding is that I spend like 45 minutes with these people, but then they're not converting. So like, I'm kind of like wasting my time, you know?
5 minutes, yes.
Yeah.
So that's when you decide, like, I either need an application or I need to schedule a screening call, like a 15-minute, you know, get your 15-minute complimentary call. And then at the end, you wrap up with like, that's exactly, it sounds to me like this is what you're looking for. That's exactly what I want to do. Let's get together to see how we can work. And you schedule a 30-minute or a 45-minute call. But you need to know all these ifs. You need to know if they're your ideal client. You need to know if they're willing to pay for the work. Do they have the capacity to work with you? You want to understand, you know, do they value your work? do they have reasonable expectations of what you can achieve? You know, I have I like for Hafed, he had a client where he did the application, it sounded great, and then they were like, well, our budget is $120,000 for this marketing campaign. And what they had told Hafed was like work that he could do. Then when he dig deeper, like they wanted videography and photography, and they made an assumption that the marketing campaign would include all of that. And he had to say like, no. So do they have reasonable expectations? Like dude said, they want you to work there part-time, but they're calling it a consulting project, which happens a lot. And then you want to know if they have alignment in values. You know, you want to know if you know, what are some of the values that you have? Do they care about collaboration? You will be very surprised. I've gotten a lot of consulting calls where they reach out to me because they want to know what my former employers used to do. Yes. And like asking more questions and questions and questions are like, so it sounds to me like you're looking for a replicable framework. Oh, but don't you have that already from working with these people? So you want to know if there is alignment in value. So that this is why the if part, some of it can be part of your systems or automations, but it needs to happen. You know, you need to have this information for the clarity call.
Paulette, I wanted to ask you that. So I wonder, I have 4 questions, right? Is it okay if I tell you the questions to see?
Yeah.
Because it seems to me, even though I didn't know, what I was trying to do was getting the, you know, like the if. So the first one is, why did you decide to do this now? Because I feel that it gives me a lot of information about where the client is, right? Like right now, and I'm talking about like the one-on-one clients, right? Like right now, I don't want to talk to anyone that is super high risk, right? Like all of those things. So the second one is, what is it about me that make you want to try this consultation? Because, you know, I say I'm a Latina immigrant therapist. So when people mention something about that, I feel that going to value your work and the alignment.
And the ideal client, yeah.
Yes. Then how did you hear about me? Because I feel that always helps me. And the last one is, are you aware that I do not take insurance? So those are my 4 questions. I think that they help me. I didn't want to make it like super long because mind you, someone, you know, like usually people reach out to me after going through a really bad crisis. So first panic attack or like super major breakdown, it has to be like a few days later, so they like feel recharged enough to ask for help. But I don't want to ask them like 10 questions. So I feel that they've worked. But do you feel those are like my like these questions? Yeah.
Are those questions that you're asking them before they chat with you?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Those are some great screening questions that you have. So it really like checks off the ifs.
Okay. Thank you.
When you go into the discovery call or the clarity call, I recommend that you ask them again, why me and why now?
Okay.
That's the best way to start. You know, you told me, I saw your responses, and the same thing with you, Oriana. I saw your responses, and I'm very excited to chat with you today. But you know, let's dig a little bit deeper. Can you tell me like why me and why now?
Yeah, and then I usually ask them if they ever been in therapy before, so that also like helps me. But yeah, okay, thank you.
Of course. So we've talked a little bit about sales funnels before, but I wanted to cover them before like we move forward. So I have my notes here too. So this is a sales funnel, and this is how like the world becomes not just your client, but your champion. And client champions are the people, if you haven't done your pre-work for Plan your, plan your 2023 like a CEO. I talk a little bit about, how to turn your clients into champions. But this is a sales or purchase funnel. And at the top, we have like the world and then how people learn about you. And people go down the purchase funnel when they take action. So in the awareness stage, it's like, you exist. Yes, look at you. Oriana, what? She's a financial coach. So they learn about you from social media, word of mouth. You did a speaking engagement, personal outreach. Maybe you have an ad on Facebook or Instagram. So that's where they become aware. They go from like, you're not, no, they don't know you exist, to being aware that not only you exist, but what is it that you do? That's why that superpoder statement is very helpful, because like it's in one sentence, like, this is who I am. Like, this is what I do. This is what I can help you achieve. Then they move from awareness to familiarity and consideration. And here is like, they understand what you do. And they say, espérate, they solve this need. I have this need too. So they might then follow you on social media. They might sign up for your newsletter. They will ask other people about you. You know, they met you, te conocieron en un speaking engagement at the chamber, and now they ask someone else like, hey, ella mencionó que tú has trabajado con ella. What do you think about them? Like, tell me about Dulce. And they take action. So they go to your website. They follow your newsletter. If you have a lead magnet, one of those freebies on your website, they download it. They're considering working with you. They're considering you as someone who can either remove their obstacles or solve their problem. And then they go into preference, right? They're like, okay, they can, like, Oriana can solve my problem. Dulce can solve my problem. I want to work with them. And here's where your sales process starts, right? This is why people talk about marketing or like, you need to be on social media. What they really mean is like how you move people into awareness and consideration. When you go into the preference stage, they've already seen you on social media. They've already, like, this is where your systems get into place. This is where you have like Calendly or Acuity Scheduling or Honeybook, or now they click. Now this is an opportunity to work with you. They reach out. This is when they schedule the clarity or discovery call. Oh, no te escucho, Dulce.
Can you hear me now? Sorry. I was gonna say, if they're like me, not only they've seen your website, but they basically like stalk you, like know it by heart, right? Like, it's like, yeah, I've seen your website 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how long it took me to, take that step.
Yes. I realized that my sales process takes 3 months. To move someone from awareness to purchase, it takes around 3 months. Around 90 days, 90-ish days. So remember when Hafed was talking about people need to see your message around 13 times before they take action? People need to see you about like 13 times to go into awareness. Like, that's a lot. That is a lot, which is why it's important to talk about your superpoder constantly. And it doesn't have to be on social media, but you need to be in this, like, be where your client hangs out and speak about your superpoder so they move into awareness, and then your systems help them get into consideration and preference. Ibas a preguntar algo, Oriana, ya.
Ah, sí, cómo tú sabes que toma como 90 días? Is that from tracking from your CRM?
CRM and analytics.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I'm asking people, like, when I used to ask people, when did you first find me? And I have in una de las cosas, like, where did you find out about me? And they'll pick. So an example, like, I do a lot of speaking gigs for Latinos for Education, and they will say Latinos for Education. The first thing I ask them in the discovery call is like, oh, ¿cuál chat? Like, which webinar did you go?
Okay.
It's like, oh, this one. I'm like, oh my God, 2 months ago. And at least I have like a month. And I'm like, do you follow me on other platforms? Yeah, I follow you on LinkedIn. I see your posts, but it has given me a lot of information to know when was the first day that they like were aware. And then, do you follow me on social media? Like, then, okay, this is another checkpoint. So I collected that data for around 6 months.
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
cool. I love data.
I know, I know, I love the numbers. So yes, then they go into a preference, and this is where they go to your website to see the testimonials. This is why testimonials are so important. Because this is social proof. This is where in preference is where they look for that social proof. What are other people saying? If they follow you on LinkedIn, ¿quién está comentando? What are they commenting? If you do a speaking engagement, you know, for, I don't know, like TD Bank, did TD Bank send an email after saying like, catch Oriana talking about how to retell your money story after? They're like, oh no, only was Oriana like really good at speaking, or I missed her. But like they're even reminding me. These are all those little steps that are these are the things that are marketing. These are the things that when a client cannot pay you your premium pricing for speaking, these are all the things you negotiate. Because in the preference stage, they're looking for social proof. They're going to schedule the clarity call with you, and you can use all the value-based messaging that you have. But they're going to look for case studies. They're going to ask you questions during the clarity call. If you do blogging, like if you have been a guest at podcasts, you want to have that information accessible to them. So, and then they go into purchase. So like, I'm your client. Then they purchase, they work with you. And then the 5 stage, which is usually like most sales or purchase funnels, quitan esto, but client loyalty. Like they stay engaged with you. And even when you pivot, and even when you might not be offering the same program, they might not be your ideal client in the future, but they follow you, they engage with you, they invite you to places, refieren las amistades. So this is where your systems like your newsletter, your content, like this is where you build community with your clients. So we've talked about the if, and I wanted to give you an example of that sales funnel. And then we've already covered this in one of the coaching sessions, but after they go through your sales funnel, so after they've gone through your sales funnel, all right, remember in that stage, in this stage, is where they go, right? In this 3rd stage of consideration, and here, like consideration and preference, this is where they enter into your sales process. So they are validated. They're like, yes, Oriana is my person. They either apply or schedule that call with you, and then you go into the discovery call. So the if and the how and the uncovering the problem happens here. So in this part of your sales process. So they go from a lead, right? They go from a lead into becoming a prospect. So they go from the sales funnel, they are validated leads, like the first validation, because you have the right images on your website, you have the right copy, then they become a prospect when they schedule that clarity call with you. And remember, they schedule the call, but then they need to show up. I know, they need to show up. So muchas veces we see a sales process that's just like the discovery call or the clarity call. No, everyone can schedule a discovery call. I shared a couple of weeks ago that I've had someone that like 4 months and kept scheduling and scheduling and rebooking. So they need to show up. So let's keep going. So the other piece, the second step to master the clarity call is to remove the obstacles. And this is the most important part, what is the problem? Because clients come con la medicina. They're like, so Oriana, like I got a raise and I'm very excited and I am ready to invest in my future with a 401k, a Roth IRA, and a high yield savings account. And I want to save $100,000 and I'm going to pay off my car and I'm going to pay off the house and blah, 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 blah. So how can I work with you to make all that happen? And you're like, why do you need me? Right? You need to uncover what the real problem is. It's your responsibility to uncover what the problem, what the obstacle, what the roadblock is. Because you were talking, Oriana, earlier about transformation and value-based pricing. Give me a second. No worries, Dulce. Oh, Dulce, I have a sleepover today too for Sophia. It was her birthday yesterday. I prepared.
Oh, happy birthday. I hope you celebrated. I mean, like you. I mean, like, you know, like a couple of years ago, I started this tradition and I give myself a gift every time it's their birthday because, hello, they wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for me, so I'm like, I deserve something here more than them.
You earned it. So removing, no worries. So understanding the problem. This is when in value-based pricing and in value-based messaging, this is it. Like when you can uncover the problem and repeat it back to them, 50% of your sale is done. So when you can say, well, it sounds to me like what you're looking for is freedom and the confidence to manage your money so it works for you. And they just told you 100 other things, but you're asking questions and you're like, oh, this is what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
This is the problem. It sounds to me like, you know, one problem, Dulce, that you might uncover for your clients are like, no, porque esto, porque lo otro. It sounds to me like the one thing that's holding you back is creating boundaries with family members so you can focus on what matters to you. They're like, what? Like, yo, did I say that? They usually like, did I say that? That sounds great.
Paulette, and with that one, so how can I make sure that because I feel that I do an okay job, like a good job with my one-on-one clients, but for the speaking engagements, like with Monica, right? So Oriana, I have like this proposal that I haven't done, but I was like, Paulette and I were talking and Paulette was like, well, she needs retention, right? Like employee retention. How can I tell her that my services will help her with that if I don't know if that's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So I'm gonna give you some sample questions. Like these are the baseline that you should have. So I'm gonna give you some questions for you to know to really uncover this. Because people know what they don't want. It's easy for people to say, pero es que yo no quiero esto, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. What they went to you for is to figure out what they do want. So I'm going to give you some guiding questions to find out what is it that they want. And from there, you are going to get out like what the real impact is. So, and Oriana conoce a Mónica, right? Oriana, tú conoces a Mónica.
No, yo sé quién es ella, pero nunca nos hemos conocido.
Okay.
No, no se han conocido. Ah, no, ya, Oriana, tenemos un posible guest, podcast guest.
Yes, and client, because Monica will definitely like, yes, we need to make that happen. We might need to go to Worcester. Hi, Joanna.
No, I actually,
Hello.
hola, Joanna. I still have to text you back. I'm sorry.
Oriana. I was like, oh my God, they're probably already done. I just want to at least say hi. Okay.
No, come in. We have like 30 more minutes left.
Oh,
So
snap. Okay.
oh, yes, we've been talking a lot and doing some scenarios, but yeah, so Joanna, and I'm recording it. So the first part, we talked about the if we should be working together. And now we've been talking about like uncovering the real problem. So it's the if, the what is the problem, and the how. So with people know what they don't want, the discovery call, the clarity call is going to help them uncover what is it that they want. So here are some guiding questions. And like I said, I have a one pager. When I upload the recording today, I have a one pager with questions and additional questions. But to uncover what their real obstacle, what their real problem is, here are some of the questions in the order that you want to ask them. So Dulce, one of the things that you have in your screening before they book time with you is like, why me, why now? In the clarity call, I want you, and Joanna, I've given some examples too on consulting and DI consulting for you. So you'll, they're in the recording. But what motivated you to schedule this call? Like, why me? You want to know why you? I'm gonna give you data too, but like, what, why me, why now? Then you want to, remember I was talking like, la gente viene con la medicina. They're like, they come and they're like, so I have my prescription. I just need you to sign it so I can go to Walgreens. Dale dos para atrás. So what is the biggest challenge? What is the biggest challenge you're facing? So Oriana, you might ask them, what is the biggest challenge you're facing around your personal finances? What is the biggest challenge you're facing with money? Dulce, you might want to ask for, because you were having some questions about the speaking gigs. Like, what is the biggest challenge you're facing with the people and the ERG committee? Joanna, you might be wanting to ask, like, what is the biggest challenge you're facing with leadership? Or what is the biggest challenge you're facing in your department? What is the biggest challenge you're facing with your staff? You want to get it off the table. What is the solution con lo que ellos fueron para donde ti? Because they have a solution in mind and it might not be the right one. So let's get it over. Like, tell me what is it that you need. Then we're going to allow them to see what's possible. When uncovering the real problem, when thinking about value-based messaging, when showing people the transformation, you want to know and show them what's possible. So one question that you can ask is, what are your top 3 goals for the department? Or what are your top 3 goals around money? Or what are your top 3 goals for your life for the next year? You can also turn it around a little bit and say, you know, let's think that we just met in a year and you have the best year, or you have the best retention of staff. What are 3 things that happened for you to say, this was my best year? Take time to show them what's possible. And they're going to be like, oh, I wasn't prepared for that. That's it. If they were not prepared for that question, that tells you that the other people that they're talking to are not talking about transformation.
Una pregunta, Paulette. Yo hago esa pregunta. I do it like that. Like, imagine that it's a year from now and you have, worked on those challenges. What does your life look like now with money? But I am curious about the order. Like, what have you tried? Because I usually ask, like, what have you tried right before the challenges? Should I not be doing it like that?
No, because you want to show them what's possible and then show them that what they're doing doesn't work.
Okay.
You want to uncover the solution that they have. You want to show them what's possible and then remind them that figuring it out by themselves didn't work.
Okay.
It helps them, after they've seen what's possible and they've verbalized it, it's very difficult to go back and be like, I can do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend that you ask it after.
Okay, I'm gonna try that. Yeah, because I usually ask, so like, what are the biggest challenges and like, what have you tried and like, why isn't it not working? And then I ask, like, tell me about your ideal. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this, okay.
And part of it is like, if you see like it goes up and down, you want them for them to understand the transformation, they also have to understand their emotions and their personal connection to the problem. So asking them about like, let's visualize and then let's find the obstacles. Like that's really what you're asking them. What have you tried? And then what's holding you back? So Joanna, for you, like what's holding you back, you might get like, oh, we don't have the budget. Or you might get like, there's too many people making decisions. Or we just haven't found the right consultant. Or Dulce, you might hear like, what's holding you back? Like, I just haven't had the right therapist. Oriana, it might be for what's holding you back. I just don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to, one of the last question you want to ask them is on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you? And there are no wrong answers. So you want to know, usually you would think you will have people that are like motivated, like, yes, we need this. I'm like a 7.5. I know what I want. I'm like a 6. So
That's a new one. I don't ask that one, and I'm curious, to see what people would say.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you will not get a lot of people that say 10. And if they do, they're probably lying because the work that they're going to do is scary. Another question that you can ask before the 1 to 10, and I'm going to have it in the template, Joanna, an example, or for speaking gigs, like how soon are you looking to start working on this project? Or by when do you need this project finished? But always by asking them on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you? Once you say something, it's very difficult to stay back. So, Oriana, they might spend a month thinking about it, but they already know what's possible. They already know that what they've tried didn't work, and they've already verbalized what's holding them back. And you are, so after you say this, answer these questions like, where do we go from here? Put it back on them. Like you're like, okay, so where do we go from here?
Okay, but at what point, I'm surprised about that. So you put it back on them, but at what point did you tell them about your offer or your process or whatever?
Here. So
Here.
Send it back. And where do we go from here?
Okay.
Oh, can you tell me more? So you see the difference from like, can you tell me more about, and some tips are like, oh, well, and so here, like, what have you tried? I really try like following everyone on social media and I listened to like 5 podcasts, and I read these 3 books and they were overwhelming. I just don't know what to do. And Dave Ramsey, he said that like no debt. And but other people say that I can travel with credit cards. And you can respond like this is a conversation, like it sounds to me like you're overwhelmed with information, right? Yeah, that's what it is. Or Joanna, you might, what have you tried? Well, we had a consultant, but it didn't work out. And then our committee did this, but they are working on other projects. It sounds to me like you are, this is very important to you, but you don't have the right team to help you achieve that vision that we talked about. So you've already given them, remember, like they didn't go into your sales funnel por arte de magia. They didn't rub like a genie bottle to know that like they send them to you. No, they've been validated through a couple of processes before this discovery call. So they know, how to solve the problem. They verbalize the problem, and then you go with like, where do you go? Where do we go from here? Oh, well, I want to learn about what you do. I want to learn about your programs. I want to learn about working with you. I want to know your pricing. This is where you go into the how. So once you uncover the real problem, you show your client what's possible. So then you go into the how we can work together.
Okay.
So for some clients, it might be, depending on your business model, it might be like, I know my programs, I know my pricing, or this is my flagship offer. Let's talk about it. For speaking gigs or consulting projects or like large programs, you might be like, this is what we can do together. I'll put a proposal. So that there's 2 different ways that it can go. But the how we can work together, it's like the scope of the work. What's the intensity for us to start? Like there are business models that you have to do a paid 1-hour call before you do any of their programs. Andrea has it like that. Andrea has, like you have to pay for a coaching session and you'll create the plan with her. And then you decide if you want to move forward. Dulce, you might have like, we need to do a trial session. And it's $240 before we move forward. So, or we can decide if we're the right fit and we kind of mesh. And maybe you do the first one and you're not sure, and you do the other one until they do ongoing therapy. And for you, Joanna, it might be that like, so it sounds to me like you're looking for someone to support you to improve your processes. And this might take around 6 months, and I need to put a proposal together. So you just, you want to clarify how you're going to work. Like this is the plan of action. This is your proposed plan of action. You want to talk about what the work can be, the intensity, how long you could work together. You don't have to give them the pricing right now if you're not ready. But you can say, I do have a payment plan. Is that something that you would be interested? Or what documents would you need from me? Or do you want me to send you a contract, a proposal and a contract? Or does your company usually send those? You want to know the boundaries. Like one of the things that happens at the society is that I tell folks, this is group coaching and you have the option to schedule one-on-one coaching sessions with me, but those are separate. The coaching conversations really happen. Oh, but I want the one-on-one coaching too. Okay, then I can talk about my one-on-one coaching services. You want to get clear on the communication. So what are the next steps? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together, or you know what? Let's do it right now. I just send you my virtual brochure for you to pick the program that you want, and you can sign and right, like what is it that they can expect, and then a timeline to work together, and when can you start? So I would be able to schedule our first call together, our kickoff meeting, 2 weeks after you sign your contract, or by next week if you're ready. So you want to show them the plan of action. If you're not ready for this, you need to schedule another call. But you want to make sure that you do the if, and if the more you can put systems for the if, the better. And then you want to then uncover the problem, the what, so you can give them a plan of action. And they might have come to you, an example, Oriana, they might have come to you with like, I want your entry packet, el que vi en la página de internet, and one way that you can approach it. So after talking to you and really looking at your vision, you know, I have my financial audit program, which is, that's how I start with, thank you. That's how I start with all my clients. And it's $600 or $900, and this is what it comes. But it sounds to me like you're looking for additional support and ongoing support. So I recommend that we do that plus this. How does that sound? En sales, el primero que habla la caga.
El primero que habla.
Like, you say your pricing and you shut up. So let's go back to the sales process. So, I just closed, where is it? You know, so we've talked about, you know, the discovery call where they go from sales to prospect, they become an opportunity. The moment that you start talking about sales, then you go into the stage. So they move from prospect, you want to move them into client. So you either send a proposal, you have a sales call, or during the clarity call, you talk about pricing and you send them stuff, and or el PayPal, el recibo, whatever you use. But it's important for this piece that you understand that the moment that they went to that discovery call, they're the opportunity to become your client. So this is another important piece when you think about your systems, like how fast can you make them your client?
Una pregunta con eso. So what I have been experiencing is that when we are on the call, they're like, yes, I want to do it. This is exactly what I want, blah, blah, blah. But the way that I do it is that I just tell them to go to so they can go to my website and sign up and do the payment and everything like that. But then they're not signing up yet, right? Let's just say yet. And I know that like I can do like a follow-up email or something like that, but I'm wondering if I should try to get them to like commit like right there and like sign them up right there. I don't like, that's the part that I don't know. So like I've had 3 people say like, yes, I want to do it, I'm signing up, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about like they needed payment plans, all of those things, and then nothing.
Where I would go back to like, where do we go from here? I'm ready. Okay, so where do we go from here? Oh, send me everything. Okay, so it sounds to me like you're ready to commit. Do you want to do it with me right now? Because I can guide you to do it. Oh, send me everything because I want to talk with my spouse. They're not ready, right?
Yeah. Okay.
There's two ghost emails that you need to send people when they don't follow up and they haven't told you no. So it sounds, do you send ghost emails?
Ghost emails? What is that?
When people ghost you. So the first one is the ghost email.
Okay.
Like, hey, hello. The second one is the breakup email. And this is the one that really works. Is like, I'm breaking up with you. No one likes a breakup.
Okay.
So the first one is, I'm very excited about our call. I am making space to work with you. Hey, can you tell me if you're ready to start working or if this is no longer a priority for you?
Okay.
And then the breakup email is, it sounds to me like this is no longer a priority for you. Like, si no te contesta el ghost email, it sounds to me like this is no longer a priority for you. I want to give you I'm going to give you 3 extra days to think about it, or 5 more days to think about it. And if not, if this is not a priority, please let me know. And if you want to talk about this in the future, here's my scheduling link. When people figure out that they have to go through this whole process again, they hate it. Oh, Luxa said that really works. So yes, if here, like the ghost email and the breakup email are so important, this is why this sales process, like I said in one of the coaching calls, like, if you don't have a CRM, that's fine. Make this an Excel. Para que pongas, mira, tengo aquí que María y Juanita y Perenceja están aquí. Y tengo que, I just wrapped up the discovery call con Jafet y con Paulette y con Dulce. And then I send the proposal to like thing 1 and thing 2. And you can only follow up with people if you know where they are in your sales process. This is where you know where people are stuck. But you need to be able to see this and move people around. It's so hard for me to be organized with that. So Dulce, this is a great moment to decide, like, do I need to get a CRM? Do I need to make an investment? Because if people are trickling in the application and they're getting stuck in one space, you can only follow up and know when you have a system in place. So I'll be more than happy to share a little bit more about HoneyBook in one post. And I actually have a discount code. I think it's like $89 for the year, and it's usually $350. So I'll share it there too. And Madeline usa HoneyBook también. Andrea usa Dubsado, so I'll ask her to share her link too and her experience with Dubsado. And then the good thing about the CRM is that it automizes this whole thing. So there's templates and things that you create that it does it by themselves. So let me share a little bit of best practices. So get the most important details before the call. Like, where did they find out about you? You want to know, like, are they ready? One of the questions that I have is like, have you worked with a coach before? So, you might want to ask them about the problem, or what is it, those validations, like, have you ever invested in this before? Joanna, you might want to ask them, like, do you have an HR department? You want to have some clarifying questions before they go into you, so you know if they are the right fit. Como les enseñé, like, it's your responsibility to guide the conversation. Like, this is what your clients are doing before the clarity call. They're not frolicking with unicorns and glitter. These people are busy and frustrated, and you're like 1% of what they're going to remember by the end of the day. So make sure that you prepare. Not that you're like reading y haciendo todo eso, but that like you're emotionally prepared to make it easy for them to say yes. Then, like I said, if you're ready to sell, say your price y cállate, olvídate. Like, this is it. The first one that speaks loses. Let them ask questions. Let them freak out. if they freak out about the pricing, if people freak out about the pricing, ask them. It looks like the investment was a surprise to you. Tell me what you're feeling. Oh, yo no sabía because I only earned this amount, or oh, we don't have that in the budget. Okay, so this is the start of a conversation. I see proposals at the start of the conversation. Talk to me, what's your budget? What were you expecting? Like, what is the pricing that you were expecting? What is the pricing that you're comfortable with? Oh, well, I only have $50. And you're like, I actually know a couple of courses that will be great. Dulce, like you might end up selling your course and that keeps them engaged. And they're still in your pipeline, just not ready. Some of the people that you talk with are not ready to make the purchase, but they are ready to stay in your circle. They're ready to stay engaged. Yes. Visualize what your client is doing before the call. Give them an opportunity to ask questions. So where do we go from here? Do you have any more questions before we wrap up? You can also send me questions. I usually remember all my questions when, like, por la noche when I'm watching TV. So like, send me an email. I'll respond in 48 hours. So give them the option to ask questions in the call and after, and then have a guide for you for the clarity call. So those questions that I'm going to give you examples, like create your own like Google sheet, como ustedes quieran, and have a guide, because some people will throw you out of your game. So have a guide for you.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know that I have to go to pick up Julia, but about the price, I wanted to mention something quickly. And I know this sounds so small and silly, right? But when I was transitioning out of insurance and, like charging, starting telling people about it, the program I was, which was for therapists, they made us do role plays. And I know it sounds so silly, but it was so helpful. So helpful, especially when, like that fear of wanting to say, oh, but I have a sliding scale. Oh, but so it was so helpful. If anyone ever wants to do a role play, it helps me so much that I'll definitely be game for that. And I used to hate role plays. I think I still don't like them. But again, because I feel that when we don't give enough space and time, we end up messing up, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, just wanted to say that. And thank you so much. I'll catch the rest in the replay. Have a great weekend and enjoy the sleepover.
Bye. Yes,
Bye.
we have like 2 or 3 more minutes. So
Bye.
these are some books that I recommend to get better at selling. Atomic Habits. I think Oriana, you've read that one too. It's really good. How to have difficult conversations. It gives you a framework on how to manage them and how to prepare. Likability Trap, why you shouldn't be likable, why you should be yourself. How to win friends and influence people. It gives you a lot of tools on mediation. Then Anti-Racist Business book, I wrote on Latina entrepreneurs should read it, but also it helps you like with those pricing conversations, like when should I give people pricing and when I shouldn't, and why it's an anti-racist practice. And then for you to get more comfortable telling your story and your value, I highly recommend Building a Story Brand by Donna Miller. Okay, so some takeaways. Your goal for the clarity call is to know if you're the right fit, what is the problem, the real problem that they have, and how you can resolve it, like the action plan. What happens before the call is important. Those screening questions that they really understand, that you validate your ideal client before the clarity call. People need to know about you to work with you. You looked at that sales funnel. So make sure that you're finding 1 or 2 ways for people to get to know about your work, because that's how they know you're the right person. Have a guideline for the call. So whether that's a document, let them know that you're taking notes to help you create a plan for them. Give your prospect the power to move forward. So with that question, where do we go from here? And then understand the problem before you send a proposal. Never send a proposal if you don't understand the problem. Don't do it. It's not gonna sell, it's not gonna convert, it's never gonna work. You don't understand the problem. If you have like if you're selling something that's less than 1,500 or like, let them figure it out. But if your client can pay $2,000 and more, just hop on a call with them so you uncover the real problem. And you might want to like automate like the process, but also give them the option to schedule a call with you. Good. Was this helpful? Any aha moments?
I like the last two questions, the commitment and also like putting it back on them. And I guess that has to do with being comfortable, just like callada, como without needing to like fill that space. Because I think that I guess maybe that's the tricky part for me at the end. I think I do pretty well with like the questions, of uncovering, but then like the wrap up of like, okay, so like, where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, that's very helpful, and it puts it like you led the conversation for like the first 30 minutes, giving them the space to then take that ownership back and lead the rest of the conversation is very helpful. Good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna upload the recording today and the discovery call questions that I recommend. And I am gonna encourage everyone to share what they have, like based on your business model, what you end up with, because it's gonna be very helpful for people that have different business models to see what we're asking. And I'm gonna share mine too. Good. Okay, chica. Besitos. Mwah. Thank you for the messages. They were very helpful, even if I did horribly, but they were very helpful and encouraging. Yes.
Have fun, enjoy the weekend and the party, and happy birthday to your girl. She looks so cute today.
I know. She looks so cute. Okay, cuídate, Ariana.
Ay, gracias.
Bye.